Did they just accidentally leak Nintendo's entire 2025 lineup? Because oops, that would be absolutely catastrophic, but also absolutely very exciting. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. We're going to dive straight into the biggest news of the day. We also have to discuss some updates on release date and other Nintendo Switch 2 features, but first, it's these games that have been leaked, and we have to talk about if this is indeed Nintendo's 2025 lineup, and did they just drop the bombshell that spoils so much, or maybe not all. So what's going on already? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Newegg.com has changed the description of their eShop $50 gift card. Now you might be saying like, what? Newegg.com? I haven't heard of them for years. I ordered some RAM back in the day, but I haven't used them in forever. I don't think that Newegg should just be dismissed. I think Newegg is a pretty popular site, a pretty big brand, and a pretty reputable brand, and I don't see them as the kind of company that is just going to go out here and randomly state stuff. They don't really fit the bill of kind of like, oh, that random, website that's kind of like small, or a mom and pop shop that's saying December 31st, the universal placeholder date, or they're saying, oh, this game and that game. They're saying 2025 games, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, check, we know that's correct. New 3D Mario, okay, heavily speculated. New Mario Kart, okay, revealed in the trailer. A Legend of Zelda remake / remastered. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, 3 of those are official, right? Pokemon, Xenoblade, and Metroid Prime, we know for sure. But the other 3 are what we are looking at as maybe the big releases of 2025. New Mario Kart, new 3D Mario, A Legend of Zelda remake and remaster. And let's just talk about Zelda right off the bat, because this is the time where if this is legit, this is Wind Waker or Twilight Princess or both. And I think like we've been burnt out on the idea of Wind Waker or Twilight Princess coming to Switch, but here, like this makes a lot of sense to me. They've waited so long. It makes no sense why they've waited so long, but here's why it makes sense. Because with the Switch 2 launching, obviously their priority are going to be their huge hitters, their heavy Mario games. But wouldn't it be great to have an easy Zelda game to put in there to push this console and really help zoop the Switch 2 into an industry-leading place? A Zelda remaster remake is an easy win. It's an awesome game for them to release, it's guaranteed to be a big seller, and it's something that Nintendo fans will eat up and be eager to play on the next system. Because maybe you're not a Mario Kart fan, and maybe you're not thrilled by the idea of a new 3D Mario. Who even are you at that point? But maybe you like Zelda Wind Waker or Zelda Twilight Princess, and I think like that would make a lot of sense of why we haven't seen it yet. It's an easy game to release in the launch year of Nintendo Switch 2, when your efforts and focus are on these much bigger, bolder, and longer development cycle projects. You have kind of an easy one, kind of a freebie, and I could easily see Nintendo saving that, especially since they did release these recently on the Wii U. Now that didn't stop them from porting over many other titles, but I think with the Zelda games, and given the emphasis on Zelda in the Switch 1 era as being sort of, I don't know, in some ways bigger than Mario in terms of its cultural phenomenon status with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously not bigger seller than Mario Kart or the Mario movie, but nonetheless, like still insanely important and more than ever before to Nintendo fans and the Nintendo brand. It would make sense to want to have a Zelda game this year, and this is the only kind of Zelda game you're going to get, is going to be a remaster / remake. Interesting that they say remake / remaster, and you could read between the lines here, quite literally, that slash, and say that maybe this means Newegg doesn't exactly know. But why are they saying this? Why are they even putting this on here? They don't need to list any games that are being released in 2025 for Nintendo. Hyping up an eShop gift card, is that even necessary? Like, people buy these gift cards all the time. They're a known quantity. It's not something new. It's not a scary product. It's not something that they have to sell. Like, it's very bizarre that they would be so forward with this games list. And that's what makes me think it is legit, or that they've been briefed on at least, hey, some general terms. Like Nintendo may be briefed on, hey, we have a new 3D Mario, a new Mario Kart, and a new Zelda in the sort of like remaster remake fashion. And that's what you can expect for 2025. I don't think this is all the games, even if this ends up being 100% legit. Even if they do release Mario Kart 9, new 3D Mario, and Zelda Wind Waker in 2025, which, by the way, I think is very, very likely and very, very plausible, I don't think that's it. If you look at this system releasing in June, that means they need June, which is going to be Mario Kart 9, July, August, September, October, November, and probably December. You're only getting a couple of games here, because we know Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition launches in March. Pokemon Legends ZA is going to have a heavy Switch 1 emphasis, but they'll definitely take up a slot probably at this point in October or November. New Mario Kart coming in June with the system. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond could easily come in June with the system as well. New 3D Mario, most likely your November or December game. Zelda Remake Remaster, say that's like your July or August title. There's still a few months for them to fill in other games, and we know that Nintendo is no stranger to having 2 games released in the same month. I don't think that this is the entirety of what the Switch 2 is packing for year 1, especially because all of these games are kind of like in the same general vein, right? New 3D Mario and New Mario Kart are obviously insanely exciting, insanely huge sellers, and would directly mirror what the Switch 1 launched with. Zelda Remake or Remaster is not as exciting as a Breath of the Wild, and I do believe that Nintendo would want to have something else. Definitely not from the Zelda franchise, but look, they're missing the Splatoon, they're missing the ARMS. Something else, sort of more of in a fun, freaky way, will come out for Switch 2, whether that's a party game, a Nintendo Land sequel, one for Switch, something of that sort, I believe, will be there to help diversify and support this system. Now, there is going to be much more third-party support and far bigger games launching alongside the system and later in the year because of how much Nintendo has upped the hardware power and therefore upped the appeal to EA, Microsoft, Capcom, Sega, and more. I do think, though, that this is probably legit. Whether Newegg is guessing or whether Newegg knows, I believe it's the latter, that they do know. I think this makes perfect sense. We've heard 3D Mario and Mario Kart for a very long time. That has been something that has been heavily hyped, and given that this is the 40th year anniversary of the Mario Bros, it makes perfect sense. And the Zelda Remake Remaster also would explain all of the hemming and hawing over why didn't we get Wind Waker or Twilight Princess during the Switch 1 era? Oh, because it's an easy game to drop for the Switch 2. It's also a great game to drop for your Switch 1 audience that has not upgraded to the Switch 2. I do not believe that a Zelda remake will be exclusive to Switch 2. It will definitely be a cross-platform title, and that's something that can appeal so much to those who aren't able or don't want to upgrade to the new system. I think Mario Kart 9 and New 3D Mario are absolutely going to be exclusive, and then you can kind of toss in this Zelda game as something that can still cross both lines. Now, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Pokemon Legends ZA will also probably, almost assuredly, be cross-gen titles, and Xenoblade Chronicles, we know, is a Switch 1 game. Therefore, Nintendo's probably due for something else that's exclusive. I don't think it'll just be Mario Kart and 3D Mario that are exclusive to the Switch 2 to get you to upgrade, and that's where maybe some of these other franchises do come in, or maybe a brand new idea. Nintendo was pretty ballsy and bold, bringing ARMS right at the beginning of the Switch 1 life cycle. Maybe they have a new nifty idea that they want to test out on us at the beginning of the Switch 2 life cycle. We've heard this rumor from PH Brazil about one more big Switch game, so maybe that takes Star Fox out of the equation for Switch 2, but they could also leverage an IP that isn't hyper successful, but maybe could piggyback off of the launch window hype and charm and lack of library to sell really well. This is a really cool game that I wish I could play, where you get to decide which games release in which quarters and in which years, because you have to min-max your sales potential. Like, you want a really popular game early on because you know everybody will buy it, but at the same time, you want to save that really popular game for when there's more systems out there. But at the same time, if it's an evergreen title, it doesn't really matter, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But at the same time, you could take an IP that doesn't get a lot of love and put it out early on when there's not a ton of stuff on the store shelves, and then people are going to be zeroed in on that game more than they might be if it released 3-4 years down the road. Or maybe they'll just drop Animal Crossing and really go for the jugular. Nonetheless, I do think that this Newegg leak is going to end up being 100% legit. But I'd love to know your take in the comments down below. And now we move to Nacon, who are an accessory manufacturer and a games publisher, and they said something that is kind of obvious, but I think we should address, which is that in their earnings call, they expect the Switch 2 to release between April and September, which you all can say, like, wow. I've seen so many people posting like the exploding head emoji, like, this is the most genius thing we've ever heard in our lives. But like, seriously, it is now good to discuss this and good to consider, because we're almost guaranteed a June or later launch at this point. Now, with the Direct coming April 2nd, there's not much time in April, and if we look at the pattern of how they launched Switch 1, we can directly mirror that with the timeline of Switch 2 and say, okay, 2 months after this presentation, the console will most likely launch, which puts it in early June. I think June is the safest, best, smartest, most likely release date for this system, even though it's a weird summer month. I don't think July, August, or September are going to be utilized. That to me seems too far off in the year, and I think you can narrow down Nakon's window for May and June. But this is at least good that it confirms like no holiday release. For those of you that were fearful Nintendo might just slow play this until the November shopping season, April through September. And that's probably based on release dates of games, and it's probably based on events, and it's probably based on when Nakon is being told to put their accessories ready for market. Speaking of accessories ready for market, you can now pre-order the Satisfy Zen Grip. I have no allegiance or partnership with Satisfy, but this grip does look pretty cool. It is up for $50 right now, and it's been made available for pre-order today. It's got nifty little holders in the sides for your Switch carts, which, I don't know, to me that seems really scary. I'm definitely not slotting my Switch carts into the back of my controller grips for them to fall out when I'm playing and me not notice, because the doink of the Switch cart hitting the ground, probably not very loud. Nonetheless, this is the first, as far as I'm aware, first purchasable official Switch 2 accessory that you can grab. So maybe you just got to have it because you got to have something for the Switch 2 as you wait for this system, as you wait for the Direct, as you wait for more details. I mean, it's cool that we're at this point. I posted on Twitter last night, like, can you remember when the Switch 2 wasn't real? Because things have dramatically changed. For all the hype and the hubbub, there was still this like lingering line of worry, like, we have to get over this hump. We have to clear this threshold, otherwise the Switch 2 isn't technically real. Like, it's real, but we don't have the official announcement. And until then, after all that happened with the Switch OLED/Switch Pro, all that's happened over the last couple of years with delays and rumored reveals and no reveals and no reveals and no reveals, like getting that reveal, oh my gosh. We are in a different timeline now than we were before the Switch 2 was official. I'm so glad we get to share it together. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think about Nintendo's 2025 lineup. Do you believe Newegg like I do? I think they're very accurate, but I think there'll be more as well. So it's going to be a very exciting time. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.